those aspects are also to be taken into consideration. Then my appeal to the young generation that be serious reader, try to develop your farsightedness, or I say the intellectual prophecy of dealing with new situations with dynamic approach of interpretation. And in your deliberations, say for example, the competition will be there on different rounds, and there also you will be facing with different situations. And my request to you is that develop that intuition. Try to apply your thinking process. Why it is so? Apply these new judges. You can impress the other side in an adversarial process. So that aspect is also to be taken into consideration. ADR mechanism also you should take into consideration. For that matter, I make an appeal to all of you, and I express my best wishes to all of you, and especially to the organizers who have given me this opportunity to interact with the young generation, my views to communicate to the young generation, and my due regard and respect to Honorable Justice Lalit and all other resource persons who are there in the particular program. And I make a request to all of them, whatever I have spoken, if it is going against some modalities or some modesties, so please excuse me for that. It is an approach to the young generation so that we can build a new India with a prolific, with a young budding lawyers with intellectuality, so that we can show to the world that India is India and we lead the entire world as it was in the ancient time. Also, India's ideas were leading the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your words, sir, about India, the jurisprudence, and about the social justice. I am very sure that everybody here will take the words back and dwell upon it. Pleasure for all us. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir. Our next guest is Ms. Vasanthika Srinath, founder and managing partner of Arnava Legal. With nearly 3 decades of experience, Ms. Srinath has been a trusted advisor to multinational corporations and global businesses. She has served as the General Counsel and Data Protection Officer in international organizations and is an expert in corporate law, technology law, and data protection. Her work in AI regulation and cybersecurity makes her a pioneer in shaping the future of legal practices. As a mentor and a leader, she continues to inspire young professionals across the country. We are truly privileged to have you with us, ma'am, today. May I please invite Ms. Vasanthika Srinath to address this August gathering.
Hi. Thank you so much for the introduction. And before I start, I have to appreciate our learned senior Professor Romesh Chandra for his very, very inspiring sir. And it's a great takeaway. Thank you so much. I think it's very inspiring for the juniors here and extremely meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So, it's a great privilege to go after you also. And I hope I'm able to, meet the bar, pun intended. So, first I want to congratulate everybody here. It's a privilege to be here to join the 4th edition of the National Virtual Moot Court, organized by Amikus Qriae. This is a great platform. I think in a few years from, it's become a very vibrant space for law students to come test and hone their skills, challenge their critical thinking, and it's a great way to grow into our practice. Moot courts are extremely essential part of our education, and so this, I think it began as a vision of committed law students. Now it has grown over 4 years into an international stage for aspiring advocates. Amikus Qriae offers workshops, debates, so many more things and training. And I think the students here who are participating, you are now a part of that legacy and you will grow with that. So before I talk further, I want to ask you a question. Just reflect. The arguments, what if the arguments that you will make here today or tomorrow in the moot courts, they could one day in the future influence the way justice is delivered in our country. They could even potentially shape the laws that govern emerging technologies, finance laws, human rights, so many things. Just try and think how big that could be, and that could all just begin with your moot court arguments, because the amount of the reason I'm asking this question as a thought is to drive home the power of mooting, why it matters. It is not just a competition, everybody comes, you debate, argue. It's not that. A moot court is a simulation. It's a simulation of the real life pressures. It gives you an understanding of the responsibilities, and also you have the rewards of advocacy. My introduction was about me being a corporate counsel, but before I went in-house, I practiced in Bombay High Court. I've spent like 3.5, 4 years. I was a counsel there. So I understand the joys of appearing in the court. You're part of making the law. It's a very different feeling, and that is the privilege. Ultimately, everything that a lawyer does is successful only if it is tested in the court, right? So the power of mooting helps you to hone these skills. It teaches you research precision. It teaches you writing, clarity of writing, how to write persuasive memorials, right, finding the right authorities for your research work, and oral advocacy. It teaches you to think on your feet, responding to questions, how not to lose your composure, and perhaps even add some wit and humor if required. You can't be funny all the time, but of course, some humor always helps lighten the situation, right? In my own work, I have seen whether it is drafting or, just commercial contracts, structuring transactions, or maybe even creating just data protection frameworks or AI governance. Some of these same old skills that we learned from moot courts or actually appearing in courts are helping us determine the outcome of high-stakes negotiations and court arguments. So it's a skill that will hold you in good stead for the rest of your life and your career. Moots like this prepare you for novel legal questions, the kind, especially when you don't have clear legal precedents. Sometimes there are gray areas and you're arguing over those. It helps you understand, the new evolving legal technologies that we see, like, say, fintech, AI regulations, cross-border data flows. We don't have regulations. This is all gray area. And if you will have any of these kind of questions in moot courts, you will learn and understand how to deal with gray areas or how to handle matters that don't have a proper precedent. So that is a very huge value of participating in a moot. Another very important thing is advocacy. So you learn how to be a better advocate. Law is changing, globalization, and cultural diversity is reshaping not just the law, it's also, I'll give you a very simple, when I say cultural, I'll give you the very simple example of the current Digital Personal Data Protection Act, right? Personal data and privacy is a very cultural thing. And you cannot say that, oh, Europe has GDPR, so India will have that too. We have to have something that suits our culture, our understanding of ethics, our understanding of morality, and that is the law that will work in India. And those are what will also shape the disputes that we are going to see in court that will come on that. It's the same thing with technology and globalization. So law is evolving faster, and with more of technology, AI, and everything is changing right now. And therefore, what are the needs of a modern advocate? You have to be fluent in interdisciplinary technologies, and not just technology. You have to understand finance. You have to understand policy. And most important is appreciating human behavior, because that's the crux of everything, right? Your dispute resolution is all about human behavior. So you have to have interdisciplinary fluency first. Second, ethical grounding. Sir very beautifully explained how we have to have, some of the very fundamental ethics, not only ethics, he also how matter of respect for your seniors, all of these, and not just about ethical grounding at a personal level, but also in your arguments. If you make a very morally sound argument, it is also a very compelling argument in court. It is a very persuasive one. So, and to be able to make that moral argument, it has to come from within. If you are known as a crook and you go and try to preach, people are going to say, look who's talking. But if you are, known as an ethical person, people will listen to you and your arguments will hold in good stead. Another very important thing for modern advocates is cultural and emotional intelligence. You have to have arguments that resonate with a diverse audience. It is right now the way law has changed, technology has changed. The rural population is also gradually becoming digitally savvy. They may not know how to read and write. They all know how to come on to a digital call. They can all see everything. So what we speak, what we articulate has to appeal to your very wide range of audiences, right from rural communities to global regulators. And now arguments have shifted from just a court to tribunals. And we may also see global regulators very soon where people can argue, because now, earlier practice in global tribunals. Now maybe they will all become online and more lawyers will be sitting at home or in their office and they'll be able to have a global practice. So we don't know what is going to come in the future, but this is a very important part of what you will do. And the fourth very important thing for modern advocate is articulation. The most important thing is to be able to articulate your arguments with thought and clarity. And how will you do that? The best way to be able to articulate your thoughts and your arguments, you start with moot courts, is your written arguments. When you write them, you crystallize your thoughts and then you practice with your friends and then you crystallize it better. And that over a period of time, it's a repeated exercise. As you do more and more and more, you get better and you get better at articulation. So, for example, if you're negotiating something also, you have to have the same set of, what the modern advocates require: interdisciplinary fluency, ethical grounding, cultural, emotional intelligence, articulation. It's not just for moot courts. It's not just for courts. It's for everything. You might be also for your corporate counsel who's negotiating something. So these are very important. Each of you have to learn these, inculcate this, and this has to be your unique value add to what you do for your clients, right? Another very important lesson, which are a couple of practical takeaways for students. Clarity beats complexity. Don't try to make things very complicated. A lot of people like to use very fancy, big words, big phrases, complex sentences, or then you come with multiple arguments. The more you complicate it, the more tough it gets to remember. Remember, judges will be able to remember the arguments that were articulated and can be repeated in one sentence. If you have to have a huge paragraph to explain that, it will be very complex and they may not be able to recall it. Clarity over complexity, very important. That's your first point. Second is preparation is persuasion. You have to anticipate the toughest questions before they are asked. You have to be prepared for everything. So you have to prepare. Be prepared for all permutations and combinations of what can happen, especially what can go wrong. And anticipate that if we say this is what they could say. What all can they say? So you're prepared for anything that may be thrown at you in the course of your, either negotiation or your arguments. Respect the process. Respect, sir also very nicely said about respect. It's a very important thing. It's not only for your seniors. Of course, respect to seniors is something that this legal profession is very, very beautifully imbibed. We've had that, right? First thing we would see senior, we would get up, offer our seats, or you'd step back and let them come ahead. And that is not just to show, it is because you're respecting that wisdom, the experience that they're bringing. But it's not only that, respect the process. Don't lose your temper. Don't get rude. It's civility strengthens your credibility. No matter what, stay cool, stay calm, stay polite. They can throw all kinds of abuses at you, but if you smile and remain civil and polite, that respect will come back to you, and people will respect you for that. That is very important. Respect the process. You have to adapt your style. These are another very practical point. A moot judge is very different from a corporate board, and a regulator is again yet another different one, and a real court will be even more strict, right? It's not going to be, sometimes a moot court judge will be a little more kind because they know you have to adapt your style depending on who you're appearing before, who you're speaking to. In a different way, you speak to your parent differently, and you will speak differently before a court and a regulator and your corporate board. You cannot have the same delivery style. So you have to keep adapting according to, and you may also change your